is not going to walk out of here today. It's going to be a whole new you. Y'all ready for transformation?
Yeah.
So guess what? If you're just in the room, even if you're asleep, you transform. It's because it's not going to be just information. It's going to be transformation. So my talk today is about first of all, daily, weekly, monthly, annual goals, even 5-year goals. And so the situation is, in order to do that, you got to have some level of accountability. So we're going to talk about that, but we're going to go back to mindset as well. Because the goal is easy to set, like, do 100 push-ups or, work out. That's easy to say that, right? But to actually make it happen, then you got to have some accountability. You got to have your mind right. Like when you say work out, what are you thinking? So we're going to deal with all that. Is that all right?
Yes.
All right. So accountability is the glue that ties commitment to results. That's one thing we do in our business, is we hold people accountable to their own work, right? And so the thing is, if without accountability, there is no results. That's what people don't realize. So we got to jump in accountability like we jump in the pool. So here we go. This is just an example, guys. We're in the type of business where we're leaning on one another. This is an example of one of our legs. So on the Zoom meeting, what's up, Carlton? And what's up, Nikisha? So those are some legs of ours. We have Carlton out in Iraq. Nikisha's out in Iraq right now. Damian New, me and Paula, and then Tony and Alice. So what an individual may think about is they're thinking about their own franchise and their goals. But that's employed mindset when you're doing that. What we have to realize is that the goals that we set is going to actually affect Nikisha, Vania, Sam, Paula, and Tony, and Alice. So hey, if you got a problem with Sam, and I ain't doing no volume because I ain't going to help Sam, it hurts everybody in that volume. Kevin and Beth and everybody. So we have to think bigger than just ourselves. Then you got your sponsor, you got your team, you got organization leader. It's a ricochet effect. So if you do nothing, then it doesn't help anybody. And if you do something, you help everybody. But when you get in this business, it's no longer just about you. So everybody's dependent on you to do what you're supposed to do. From a downline situation, you're dependent on everybody in the upline to be a good example. But in the downline, but as an upline, if we've been a good example, we expect for you guys to follow, All right, so here's a situation about accountability. This is going to be fun. There were 4 people and an important job to be done. And there was everybody, anybody, somebody, and nobody. Now watch this. Nobody knew that everybody was not going to do it. Everybody was sure that somebody would do it. Anybody could have done it. In the end, nobody did it.
That's right.
Who's going to go platinum?
Nobody.
That's one. That's all we got?
Yeah.
Because we can't sit around and just look for anybody that could do it. Anybody could do because somebody's got to do it. So we got to be the somebody, right? Or nobody's going to get it done.
That's good.
Okay, so we have these goals. But if you notice what happened right here, nobody did it. Because that means there's a breakdown. Because who wants to be financially independent?
Yeah.
Who wants to make an extra $3,000 a month?
Woo.
Well, with that being said, somebody's got to do it, right?
Yes.
And if it's not happening, there's a breakdown. It's because we all get excited. We all want it to happen. So we're going to deal with why that may not have happened. So then there's this big old circle of what you know. What can you do with what you know? Anybody? Share what you know and apply it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what you know and how you live doesn't match. Okay? Your eating habits. We all know you're not supposed to eat late. Working out, not a bad idea. Speed limit. I'm guilty of that.
Me too.
Study, and then who you date.
Yeah.
I've had Mrs. Rodriguez, I've heard her have to tell some people, hey, you should be dating that person. That little rascal, y'all know what she talks about, right? So but y'all already know we grown, we all know. So again, what we know and how we live don't match. 9 core steps. You can name it. Do we do it? The standard for a single or for a couple, do we do it? Association, right? Ditto delivery, are we doing it? So again, what we know, we're disconnected from what we do. And so first we need to connect with what we know before we start wondering about the things we don't know yet. Does that make sense? Now there's 2 bodies of knowledge. There's what you know, and there's what you know that you don't know. What can you do with you know that you don't know? What can you do with that? Investigate it, and what else? Learn it, right? If you don't know Russian, what can you do?
Learn it.
If you don't know how to go diamond, what can you do?
Learn it.
Y'all got that?
Yeah.
A Scantron. This is what we're used to, right? A Scantron is only an example of what you know and what you don't know.
Yes.
Okay? But in this business, it's not about what you know and you don't know only. That's not going to help you. It's about what you don't know that you don't know. You understand that? None of you guys in here can tell me one thing that you don't know that you don't know. Because as soon as you do, I'm going to say, Derek, you know you don't know that. Because you just told me that. Right? So again, it's the stuff out here that can change your whole world. Because you only live in the world of what you know. Y'all got it?
Yes.
You only do what you know to do, and even then you don't even do that all the time.
That's my focus.
So you got to conquer the world of what you know so you can do what you don't know. And guess what? Tony Rodriguez tells what we don't know that we don't know. Because that's in our blind spot. It's like a bug in the middle of my back. I can't know that. But somebody else can see it. So here's what happens. Reading, come to a meeting, go to a function. That's an idea, right? Or what happened, what's happening. And then there's some drama that happens. This thing called a story. Does that make sense? Give you a perfect example. Today, me and Rob and Aaron met in a hotel on Common Lodge right over here to place our first order. First, it was just me and her. If she would have just said, honey, I'm leaving, and then her boyfriend would have said, okay, where you going? Oh, I'm going to meet this guy at this hotel. I'll be back by 11. The story that he tells himself is that something ain't right. Right? But what we need to do is just stick to what happened. It's because when we tell ourselves a story about it, all these things happen. So watch this. Reading 21st century. Reading's boring. That's a story. I'm not a reader. That's a story. Right? So we have to ask them, well, do you know how to read? And we'll tell them, well, you can do it. You know, because again, if it's their relationship with reading is going to create the story, and their lawyer, once they stick to that story, they're never going to do anything beyond that. People live according to their interpretation of what happened, or their story of what would have happened, not what has actually happened.
Wow.
Does that make sense? So what happened in school is you got a book and you simply didn't read. What you told yourself is you don't like reading. What you told yourself is that reading is boring. What you tell yourself is that reading doesn't actually change my life. But you never read books like we have over here. So, something happens, meanings get collapsed. Let me tell you guys something. We are biological machines, right? So the thing is, we make things mean things. Like, I talked to one person, and they're not interested. And that's what happened. I talked to them, and they weren't interested, or they weren't hungry. And then I tell myself that this isn't for me. This is not my thing. Maybe this isn't my cup of tea, as they say. And then the meaning versus what happened, there's a collapse. The realities get set. So we create a false reality at that point.
Tell it, Sam.
So here's a couple of examples of what I'm talking about. Michael gets 4 A's and 1 B. His father says, great job, son, but how come you got a B instead of an A? Michael, one occurring, because we've got to be current, Michael says, my dad is committed to my excellence. Another occurring, he could say, nothing I do is good enough for my dad. He said the same thing. All he asked him was a question. You got an A, you got all A's, and you got 1 B. How come you didn't get all A's? And then these are the stories he's telling himself. And here's another one. Serena Williams hits the tennis ball towards Sam King. And one occurrence, Sam says, she tried to kill me. And another occurrence says, she tried to hurt me. And another occurrence says, I couldn't see the ball, it was invisible. And another occurrence says, tennis is a dangerous sport. But at the Venus Williams, if she was standing exactly where Sam was, and then Serena hit the ball to Venus, she'd just say, well, Venus hit the ball towards me. You see all the drama that didn't exist when she said that? When you changed the who was in that spot?
Right.
So then imagine how many times we pass people by and ask ourselves, if we became the best version of ourselves, what would that person have done instead of let that person walk out the door?
That's good, Sam. That's good.
Or when that person asks you that challenging question, like, how much have you made in the business so far? And then what would your upline say? And that's what you need to find out. What did your upline say? Because they started where you did. So don't think, oh, this is a problem. Why? Because I'm in the business, I don't get a salary, so I got to create the income. So I don't know what to say to people. Well, everybody starts there. You can't buy your way into a higher level. You come in,
can't.
we all come in the same way.
Yeah.
So what does this gesture mean? Anybody? Shout it out. So one person says it means up.
Number one.
One.
Uh-oh, somebody says number 1.
Wait, hold on.
Yes, Reverend! Yes, Reverend!
That's exactly.
Hold on a minute.
Hold on a minute. Yeah.
All right, let me tell you. So let me give y'all to you real simple and plain. Things don't mean anything. Everything is empty and meaningless, and we assign meanings to things. Okay? That's the reason why your child can be sick and you worry till you can't sleep and nobody else cares. Because it means something to you, it don't mean nothing to them. Notice that don't really mean anything. It's whatever you say it means. So when you look at an Amway business, what does it mean to you? And it may not mean that same thing to your cousin. And then we'd be crazy if we think that everybody should think this thing should mean to them what it means to us. Because again, we stand in our own realities.
Yes.
And so it's better to understand that situation. So I'm gonna move past this. I may come back to yell this later. So check this out. Something, you look at it and your opinion is, it's very good. There's actuality, reality, big difference there. Okay? Then somebody says it's very bad. Same thing, different point of view. Kind of like right now, if I was standing here, guys, and there was a 6, you guys would swear to me it was a 9, but I'm like, no, it's a 6. We're all right. We're both right based on where we stand. So the best thing to do to relate to people, and even to a thing, because we're talking about goals here, right? So when you're talking about going 1,000 PV or 1,500, whatever your goal is, how are you relating to it? Because what Tony saw as, now saw as a good thing to go ahead and read the book and go to the function, somebody else sees it as bad or neutral, they're neutral. And what we don't want to do is be neutral towards the things that our coaches are recommended, because that's going to change everything. So that's the something. And we just got to have the understanding there's nothing wrong with us if somebody's not fired up about this business like we are. It's just that they just have a different point of view. It occurs to them differently. And that's got to be okay. Because just like there's that guy where this same thing is very bad and it's a scam and all that, there's this other person where they're like, man, I've been looking for this all time. And so you stay in the game for those type of people. Because when you find them, you ain't got to talk them into it because they already are that. They're just waiting on you to find me, like I was waiting to meet Tony and Alice Rodriguez.
That's right.
All right? So then you got things that's important, right? So remember, the other one is whether it's good or bad. This is whether it's important or not very important. Here's the thing, if it's important to you, you'll do it. If it's not important, you won't do it, and you can't change somebody's point of view. You got to stand with them and see it how they see it, through their eyes. And then, because even with your goals, until you see it as very important, you won't do it. If you see it as very important, then your coaches ain't got to coach you into that. See? You ain't got to, if something's not important to you that you're being coached to do, don't think your coaches don't know. We know it because you ain't doing it. You get what I'm saying? If you do it, then we all know it. And so that's just the way things roll. Then whether you're right or wrong, here's what we don't want to do is make people wrong. Because as soon as you make yourself right, they're automatically wrong. We just want to discover their perspective. And see why they see it that way. And say, well, you know, this occurs to me, and then say what you got to say. Because if we say it is, then we just cut off everything they were trying to say. And we're going to get into spoken word a little bit in a minute. So here's the thing: when you make someone wrong, there's no power. You just because you now have disconnected from that person, because they are standing in their perspective and in their reality. And then when we say, well, that's wrong, or and we're going to go into that, but never make anybody wrong, right? Even with your own goals, don't make your goals wrong. If you don't agree with them, then ask your coach, why do you see this as, why should I do this? Try to gain your mentor's perspective. Because obviously if they're free and then we're not, then it means that they know something we don't know. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But you can never do a goal that you don't think is right. And then when you unplug from it, like if they're telling me I need to do a certain thing, like ditto, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. What I've done is I ain't say it, but I just made that wrong. And so I just unplugged from that. So we're going to talk a little bit about the spoken word. The goal is to be able to take control of your thoughts instead of being controlled by your thoughts. The goal is to point out that the thoughts you don't know you think are the ones that run your life. The true spoken word is the word you speak inside of yourself. So here's the situation. You have thoughts. Because we talk about the spoken word, but the spoken word is the first manifestation of the spoken word is not what you say. It's what you say in here. It's not what you say audibly. Remember, Jakeem had us do an example last week. They had us count to 10 out loud and scream your name on the inside, and everybody did it. And he said, did you guys hear yourself? Everybody said, yeah. Because you do speak inside. The spoken word truly is a secret to us, and it's known to you. Because you can say yes to stuff that inside you know ain't true. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So thoughts become words. Words become actions. Actions become habits. Habits get you to a character. Character leads you to a destination. So we are in a character-building business. Because if you don't like your destiny or your destination, it's because the character that you are today is not fit to get you to that place. The character most people that come in this business are not equipped as a character that they are to actually do what it takes to make this. And we would tell you that frankly, that you can't do it now, but you can do it. But you got to go through the process. You got to read. You got to learn. You got to listen. That's the reason why the core run is in place, so it can develop us into the character. And if we challenge this thought process, get in the business, don't do the core run, and see what your results are. And when you see that doesn't work, they say, you know what? Maybe I'll try what these coaches are saying I should do. Maybe I've tried it my way. It didn't work. So let me try it this other way. Okay? Because again, the foundation is the thoughts. So here's the thing. A lot of times we pick up the branches. We start speaking what we want, but we don't think what we want. And then that means we're picking up branches, we're not digging it up by the roots. But when you dig it up by the roots, that's the hardest thing to do. It's because it takes more muscle power. You may even need some help.
Come on.
You probably need to call somebody when you're dealing with that issue. Because by yourself, this is tough. Because this thing that you got against not reading for 30 years, if you really believe you'll get in this business and become an avid reader, you're crazy. And I know firsthand because it happened to me. Okay? It takes a minute, and you're in the talent you have from whatever profession you came in, that's not going to just translate over like that. Okay, so we're going to talk about often the way we language our circumstances creates them as a problem, and how we deal with those perceived problems. So you say, I want X, but why? Now, X and Y have no different numerical value, okay? We make it appear that X and Y are connected, but they are not in reality, only linguistically. That creates an artificial conflict. So you watch this. I want to be in a relationship, but the sun is shining.
Teach.
I want to go on vacation, but my shoe is untied. Now, I purposely threw some things that we don't normally say in there so you guys can see that there is no connection to one or the other, right? So, but suppresses your joy and freedom. It creates unreality. Replace but with and your same problems will have a different occurrence. Here's an example. I want to be in a relationship, but the sun is shining. I want to go on a vacation, but my shoe is untied. So what you can do is if you change it with and, now you can choose. You can say, I want to be in a relationship and the sun is shining. What you focus on expands. So are you going to focus on the latter part or the other part? Are you going to really let the sun shine and stopping you from being in a relationship? Are you really going to let the shoe being untied stop you from going on vacation? One don't have nothing to do with the other. I want to go to the function, but I can't afford it. I want to get in this business, but I can't afford it. I want to be cool, but I can't afford it. Who said it had to be your money? It's called customers, right? Or it's called a new job. It pays better, right, Rob?
Yeah.
And so here's the situation: is we change that thing to end, and everything changes. But leaves you with no power, and it disconnects. So when you say "but" to your coaches when they're talking, da 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 da, but coach, and as soon as you say that, you just discredit everything your coach just said. You just threw it to the side like it didn't really matter. That one word does that mentally and subconsciously. So again, you have no power when that's happening. So you'll never be free until you free yourself from the prison of your own false thoughts. These are things people say to themselves. Now remember, there's a whole world out here, isn't there? But what we say is, fear's my friend, I don't matter, I don't count. Nobody cares, I doubt I can. Say nothing and do nothing, safety, let me just keep my head down. Those are the things you usually say to yourself. Those are the things that's voted upon that people say to themselves. So what you focus on expands, so we want to focus on what we want. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And when we're dealing with somebody who thinks this is wrong and you think it's right, you need to find out what they're focusing on so you can see what they see, stand with them, and then help them see it from another perspective. So everyone has a manifold occurrence of your life. And it's hidden from your view. Do you guys see this thing? Does it look like it's moving?
Yeah.
It's not. But you're biological machines and your eyes are not trained to actually see things as they really are. That's the proof. Because it's actually not moving, but to you it looks like it is. That's how your life is. You're not even equipped to actually see your life because you only got two eyes and one perspective. Here's the thing. You got God and what he said in the Bible. Let's say your lifestyle is something alternative to what he said in his book. So basically he's already spoken something against you in your mind. And you're going to have a reaction to that. You're going to tell yourself about your story about God. That's going to impact your relationship with God based on what he said. Same with your mom or your dad, whether they was there or they was not. Or what they say about this business, whether you could do it or not. You know, your kids, your siblings, your best friend, and then your enemies, your upline, your coworkers, your downline. All these people see you in a certain way. They see your life in a way you don't know. If people had to interview them and ask them about you, what would they say? Does that make sense? But here's the thing. Even though they all got opinions, they all got things they're saying, here's what matters the most. It's how you see yourself. That's the foundation. So the key is what you say to yourself determines how you see yourself. Somebody can say, you're a bum, you'll never make that thing work. Okay, that's what that person said. Maybe my best friend said it. But what do I say to myself? Because that's what matters. See, what happened is he said something. And it doesn't mean anything until I say it. Because when I say it, and remember, I say it first in my head. And when I believe that, then that determines how I see me. It don't matter how they see me, it matters how I see me. If I'm in business and I've been in longer than I like and I ain't reached the goals, we got to deal with that. What am I saying to myself about that? Because what you're saying, what you don't want to address is going to hold you back. Now there's other things. These are entities. What do you say to yourself about business? What do you say to yourself about TV and traveling and money and bills and credit? Because again, these are things. They're not saying anything to you. They don't exist in reality. They're not humans. But you have an occurring of all these things. And they are impacting your life. Y'all get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So a mentor is meant to see your blind spots. Your mentor is going to show you what you cannot see. And what happens if we were to not look at our rear view mirrors and our side mirrors, guys? How would that work out for us if we drove that way? That'd be a dangerous world, wouldn't it? So basically, we got our mentors are only there to help us. Sometimes, most of the times, Tony and Alice is not going to tell me anything if I already know it. They're going to talk to me when I don't know it. So that's the most time I need to listen. And a lot of times, we may not agree with 99% of what they tell us at first if they really get real with us. If we can get out of our feelings and let our mentors really tell us the real truth, it ain't going to feel good. And we may not agree because we don't see it. But we got to understand that they see things we don't see. That's why they're here. So all of us, as we coach each other in this room as well, that's the purpose. If you don't agree, then that's probably right. Does that make sense? And trust me, remember the hierarchy. The coach is not going to tell you something to hurt themselves. So if you don't agree, just trust. Because in the end, why would they tell you something that's not going to help your PV go up? Why would they tell you something that's not going to help your group grow? So if your coach wants to talk to one of your downline and work with them, let them do it. Because in the end, they may know something you don't know. They may be able to have more effectiveness with that person than you do. And if that's the case, what do you want? The results or the path? So this car represents your life. You've been in this your life, your whole life. This car is your life. So when you're listening to music, guys, when you say that there's multiple voices that come out of a radio, you listen to a lot of things. So if you've been in that car all your life and it's only speaking out Chinese, what language you gonna speak?
Chinese.
And if it's Japanese, what you gonna speak?
Japanese.
So the thing is, guys, the voices that's coming out of the radio are the people that's in your life. All those occurrences you saw, your mom, your dad, your friends, your siblings, your coworkers, your enemies, all that is what's coming out. And if you really believe that you can be in your life, meaning that's like saying he's been locked in this car his whole life, but he's like, yeah, I'm just hearing it, but it ain't affecting me. If you really think that's true, that's not the case. Sometimes we got to get out into another car. We got to recreate our life, because the cool thing is, we can change the radio station to whatever you want.
Yeah.
If they're not for your life and for your goals and dreams, we want to change the radio station. Because trust me, if they keep on throwing them words at you like darts, they're going to hit something. And it's going to sink in, and it's going to affect what you say to yourself, and that's where the power is. It's with you. It's with each one of you. Only you control what's going to happen in your life, nobody else. So these are things, it's written, death and life are in the power of tongue, the language you use. So the same thing, you can say I can't, or I can cut that T off. I can. It could be either one. It could be life or death with the tongue. So watch this. In this example, you have a gentleman that says, I am blind, please help. Watch what happens. Another lady sees him. She walks by, she scribbles something on there, and she changes what he said. It's a beautiful day and I can't see it. And watch what happens. You're going to see some more change come up in this thing in a minute. I have to put some of this left. There it goes. There it goes. See, he got more money now. How? It's because what he said was different. And so when he's in the same situation, his bank account still sucks, he's still homeless, the same dirty jeans, he's sitting in the same place on the same street, but he made more money because he said something different to the world. In this case, I am blind, please help. They may look at it like, oh, he's a victim. I'm not helping him. What did he do to get himself there? But sometimes when you just change what you say, the results change. Same business, but different person saying different words.
Tell it.
So that's why if you see your upline and they're always bringing guests all the time and you're not, you may want to get with them and go out with them and see what they do. When they make them call, hey Coach Jakeem, when you're making your calls to your brand new people you just met, can I listen in on what you're saying? Can I sit beside you? Because it's what they're saying that's getting me appointments. And can I see you when I was just with Coach Tony, I've been in this for 3 years. I know how to do follow-up too, but I still listen, because guess what? He did something different, didn't you, Coach? And I didn't, if I went on that call, he upgraded like the cell phone and I wouldn't have known it. So I still stay plugged in with my coach as much as I can because I want to stay up to date. And if they got more results than I got, then I got to get that. Because again, what I say and what I do is going to affect the outcome of the situation. So, I have to versus I get to. I have to go to the meeting versus I get to. So instead of it being a privilege, it's an attitude of burden. I told you so versus what did you learn? What did you learn opens up conversation. What did you learn opens up a situation where people are, wanting to kind of communicate with you. They think that you stand for them in their situation. You should go to the function versus I suggest you go to the function. I recommend you go to the function. You see? It's a different occurrence to the person. Because you have to ask yourself, when you say something to somebody, they're not hearing what you said. It's occurring to them. So what are they saying to themselves about that? How are they talking to themselves? It is versus it occurs to me that. It is the best business opportunity. And that may mean to them that when you say it is, that's universal like gravity. So now if they got something they think is better, then now they feel like they're disconnected from you. Versus it occurs to me that this is the best business opportunity in the world. That one thing can keep you connected. We're in a connection business, and so we want to make sure that we stay connected. So we have two different thought processes. I love reading. I don't read. I don't like reading. It's boring. My success resides in me. My success resides in someone else. So some people are in this business and they're looking in the mirror and saying, I am the one. And then there's some people that's like, I'm getting in this business because I ain't the one, but I'm going to find the guy that is or the girl that is. Right? It's what we say to ourselves. In reality, things are things, and then it's what we say. What do I learn from this? This is a waste of time. I trust people. Y'all kind of see it? Y'all see how it's going? Same thing, two different things. The words you say will either acquit you or condemn you. As a man thinks within himself, so is he. So it's very powerful to deal with that. So, moving on. I'm going to get to it. Now the goals are easy. This is going to be quick. Watch this. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic timing. So 83% of the people pretty much don't accomplish anything if they don't set goals. And most people don't set goals. If you don't have a daily goal, how can you have a monthly goal? You got to have a daily goal first. 14% of the people that got their goals in their head, they're about 10 times successful. 30 times, but the 3% are the ones that write it down. If you write your goals down, you're 30 times likely to be more successful. So remember this whole thing, the story they told all of you? If you throw money in there, you're going to have big fortune and good luck and all that. Well, really what happens, you just threw money away. All the other stuff is just a story. So all these people that did it, they didn't do it because they didn't need money. They needed money. They actually threw it because they thought they were going to have good fortune or something like that. But in actuality, they just threw money away. So just remember, that's a story. In the end, a goal without a plan is just a wish. That's what that is, a wish. How many times has that ever come back to anybody? If that really worked, people would be, taking cups and dropping quarters in there all day. So that's not that. Now, a goal written down with the date becomes a plan. So we have a plan in this business. We've all seen it, right? And it's got to be written down with a date. When you're going to do 1,000 people, it needs to be written down with the date. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like every day we need to have our daily goal. That's why we give you 10 pages a day, 30 minutes a day. We give you numbers and dates, right? So if we don't have that, we're unplugged for our goals because of action. If there's no action we're taking, it's not going to work out. Because see, it's not the tongue, but it's the tongue. It's where you're going, right? You got to put the footwork with it. Act means action changes things. You got to get up there, take action. So figure out the next step. Don't be worried about I'm 1,500. I'm trying to go up 7,500. Well, how do we do 2,500?
Amen.
Does that make sense? I'm 100 PV. I'm worried about a 7,500. I need to get to the next step, but basically nothing's going to happen. So set daily goals. Don't reach for the weekly. You can't reach for that when you ain't reaching for this. So let me see. Where's my timer? Who's keeping my time? Where am I at? So I know.
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock?
Right here,
Yes, sir.
too.
Fantastic. So here we go. Rolling through it. We're going to be done. Basically, guys, in the beginning, it's all about you. That's the first phases. These are daily goals. Stretch yourself because you're like a rubber band. All it is reading, listening, and remember, everybody's going to be different. We're all different colors because that's just the way we operate. Everything else in phase B and beyond is about others. That's the last slide. It's about the power of duplication. And so if you do the goals, then you're going to have that happen. So I think that's my time. All right?